Hi. In this lecture, you are going to be looking at what we call as association rules mining, which is a popular clustering techniques typically used in a lot of retail business. So what is association rules mining? In association rules mining, you are trying to find things that typically occur together. There is a set of items, there are a set of things that typically occur together. You're trying to find the things that most frequently occur together. For example, in a supermarket, you are trying to find items or food items that are frequently bought together, like milk and eggs, bread and cheese, or bread and jam, things that are very frequently bought together. Why do you want to find them? The supermarket want to maybe stock those items bought together. Usually they are stocked together so that when somebody buys something, it is easy for them to buy other things that they also intend to buy. It is also used to find fraudulent transactions. So why is it used for finding fraudulent transactions? Is that there are certain patterns that occur in fraudulent transactions. Suppose I have like 50 variables about transactions or credit card transactions that are happening. Fraudulent transactions typically have a pattern that typically there are things like when there is a age is so and so, and then the location is so and so, and time of day and so and so. Things that occur frequently together are identified using association rules mining. It is also done for what is called frequent pattern mining. What is frequent pattern mining? It is that when you look at a data set, let's say you look at a data set of patients, there are certain things that occur together, like when column 1 has a value X, column 2 has a value Y. So there is some relationships between these columns that keep happening. Whenever somebody's age is less than 30, it is also found that they do not have diabetes. It is also found that their income is less than 50,000. It is also found that something like this. So you see that when some particular value occurs in one column, other columns for that record will have some similar kind of values, or they always occur together. So its idea is to find things that occur together, and whenever you have that kind of a challenge, association rules mining is the solution for that kind of challenge. It is also used to find the next word. Let's say when you look at search engines and you want to predict what is the next word. So you start typing a word and the search engine predicts you the next possible set of words. That also comes out of association rules mining, probably because you're trying to, in association rule mining, you mine the data to find words that frequently occur together. So when somebody starts typing a word, then the prediction algorithm becomes easy. So it goes and looks at the scores of the words that occurs together, and then they prompt you when you're typing out the string that you want to search. It is one of the clustering techniques. One assumption that association rules mining does is that it assumes that all data is categorical. It needs all data to be categorical, not continuous, for it to work. So you need to work on the data to convert data into categorical data. So if there is numerical data, you need to convert them into bins and stuff like that before you can pass it on to the association rules mining. It is also popularly called market basket analysis, if you want the term that is popularly used in the retail business. When you run association rules mining, it is going to come up with a set of what is called association rules. And these association rules can then be used by the business. And let us see what these association rules are in the next slides. The input data set that goes into when you're doing association rules mining is a different kind of a data set. So when you look at market basket transactions, when association rules mining algorithms takes as input a file that has transactions. Each line contains a transaction, and in that transaction is possibly a transaction ID and items that occurred in the transaction. So typically it will be looking like this. So transaction 1 has bread, cheese, milk. Transaction 2 has apple, eggs, yogurt. So this is how the input data to ARM algorithm will look like: a transaction ID, separated comma, then a list of items that occurred in the transaction. You can also use that for textual data. Let's say it's a bag of words data. So for every word that is there, you come up with what is called a bag of words, or the keywords in that particular document. Suppose you are trying to group a set of set of news articles, you can pick the keywords in the news article and form that as your bag of words, and that becomes look like a transaction, and this is what is then given as an input to the association rules mining algorithm. So when it comes to ARM, there are a set of metrics or measures that are used for measuring how these frequently occurring items occur together. There are some measures using which things are looked at. So what are these measures? Let us go and explore. Let us say N be the number of transactions in your data set. Let X, Y, Z be the individual items in the data. Like it may be items like milk or butter or eggs. Let X, Y, Z be the individual items in the data set. Then what happens? There is a measure called support. Support measures how frequently a combination of items occurs in the data set. So support is how frequently a given combination of items, it may be one item, two items, multiple items, it occurs in the data set. So support of X equal to count of transactions with X divided by N. Support of XY, where X and Y occur together, is the count of transactions with X and Y divided by N. So that is how you measure support. The next measure is called confidence. So confidence measures the expected probability that Y would occur when X also occurs. This is the association probability. So every time X occurs, what is the probability that Y also occurs? So how do they occur together? So confidence of X, Y given X. So every time X occurs, Y also occurs. The formula for that is support of X comma Y divided by support of X. So we already computed support, and this is how we compute confidence. Confidence of Y given X also occurred as support of X comma Y divided by support of X. A third measure is called lift. So lift measures how many more times X and Y occurs together than expected. So it is like there is an expectation, like an average or mean they can occur together. How many more times is it occurring? And that lift is computed for Y given X is that confidence of X given Y. So the confidence, we already know the formula, divided by support of Y. And this is how the lift is measured. So whenever you are giving a set of transactions to an ARM algorithm, it is going to compute support, confidence, and lift for all combinations of data. And then it is going to give you out a set of rules, the rules where it typically has the highest support and highest confidence. Those are the ones that come out as the top rules. It typically gives you all the combination and all the rules and then all the measures, but it is sorted in the descending order of support and confidence. So a rule specifies when more one item occurs, then others also occur. So when you look at all the output of ARM, you can make these kind of hypotheses or decisions based on that. Something like when bread is bought, milk is bought 33% of the time. When India occurs in a bag of words, Sachin occurs 20% of the time. So this is how the rules that come out of an ARM algorithm will look like. And you would see more of that when you're looking at the use case. The goal of an ARM algorithm, when you run an ARM algorithm, you specify a minimum level of support and a minimum level of confidence, which is you tell the algorithm to go and find all the rules or all the combinations that occur, which has a minimum support of X or more and a minimum support of and a minimum confidence of Y or more. Typically you say support is 0.1 and confidence is 0.3. So it is going to go look for all the transactions where the minimum support is 0.1 or it occurs more than 10% of the time. You can always play around with these support and confidence levels. You try to give too low a support or a too low a confidence, and your the list of items there are like 20,000, 30,000. This ARM algorithm is going to run forever. It may run into memory issues, crashes and stuff like that. So you always want to start at a low level for support and confidence and see the number of rules that are generated. Sometimes the number of rules generated are too few because the data set itself doesn't have that frequently occurring combinations. Then you can slowly increase the support and confidence levels until you get a desirable level of the number of rules. But always start at a high level, that is a confidence of 3% or something like that, and keep going down. A frequent item set as an item set, So the output of an ARM algorithm is what we call the frequent item set, things that are occurring more frequently, where the support is greater than the minimum support level provided. So you give in the parameter, I want to look at all the frequent item sets that have a support level of X or more. It is going to go do the analysis and come out with the results for that particular analysis. The algorithm that is used for ARM is what is called the a priori algorithm. So it does its magic internally, and typically there is an implementation of ARM a priori algorithm available in the language of choice you use for machine learning, and then you pass it to this algorithm list of transactions. You provide the support level and the confidence level, and it is going to come back and give you the set of frequently occurring rules. And that's how ARM works. ARM is a very popular technique. It is used a lot in the retail industry to find things that occur together. As we talked about, it is used for fraud detection. It is used in exploratory data analysis. Suppose you have like 50 different variables, 50 predictor variables. Trying to go through each of the predictor variables to understand how they work with each other. One of the things you always do is, you try to find the correlations. But correlation, it's a super level, it is a global level correlation. But there can be some more internal patterns where when X has a value of 1, Y has a value of 2, that kind of a closeness between two variables. Those kind of relationships can be discovered using associations rule mining. We will also see an example of that in the use case that follows. Thank you.